This is the Simpit. I'm your host, Sean Cole, but the real star of today's show is Emily Jones. And in the title, I call her WFG, World's Fastest Girl. I don't even like calling her a girl. She's a young lady, she's a sim racer, and she's in the studio today with us to talk about sim racing. Hi, Emily, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I,
Thanks for having me.
I'm doing very well, and thank you for being here. I've been really looking forward to this interview, and well, let's start off with just some basics, and then we'll move on. I just want to have a conversation with you about sim racing. So, first thing that I ask anybody is how long and how did they get into sim racing?
I started when I was like a kid, so I've always been into race cars, and I think when I was like, um, I actually don't know. I've been like playing Gran Turismo my whole life and stuff, so I played a lot of that, and I kind of just slowly moved into harder games with more difficult cars. I picked up NASCAR Racing 2003 when I was like way small, and I remember playing that on the arrow keys at about 11 frames per second, and I was just like all over the track. I'd never watched a NASCAR race before, so I didn't know how it overworked. I played that a lot, and I kind of got into R Factor, and then yeah, I got access to iRacing and just kept doing it.
Wow, so I mean, you've done it. I mean, that's like kind of how all of us started. We get a game, we play it on a keyboard because we don't even know there's a world of sim racing, and then it just grows and grows and grows from there.
Yeah, it was kind of just like stumbling onto it accidentally and wanting to race other people, and um, yeah, you don't know it, like it's definitely grown though. Like the size that it is now, is just completely different. Especially in Australia, it's completely different.
Well, Australia, I want to talk a little bit about Australia compared to the rest of the world, just when it comes to racing. So, you found sim racing all the way back in Gran Turismo, Papyrus 2003 days. Were you a racing fan or were you a gaming fan? I mean, which direction drew you to it?
It's kind of like a perfect combination because I love games. Like I play too much video games, too many video games, and I also am a huge race fan. Like I it's kind of perfect. Like I think the thing that got me most wanting to do it is as like a 10-year-old or whatever. I want to I wanted to drive, but I don't have a license or anything. So it was like, what's the best way that I can pretend that I'm driving? And it was sim racing. So it was like go online. I'm doing all these driving things. And it was just like, I don't know, I don't think my parents got it. They were just like, she doesn't know how to drive. And I'm on there like racing adults and it was just crazy.
Oh, that is excellent. Now, are your is your family into racing, or was this just you?
My uncle and my cousin are like into racing, so they've done a bunch of club racing for a long time. Um, my dad's an engineer, so he uh used to do a bit of racing when he was about my age, I guess. But they're not like technically a racing family. So I I kind of brought the racing out of them, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Now, when you started playing racing games, did they think you were crazy?
Um,
It's not very
they
girly.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they got used to it pretty quickly. I think the main thing that they were um nervous about was I was just like missing school or like just standard like high school stuff of like playing too many video games and not being able to study. And I like my dad would come home at like 6 p.m. and I would be like hard in a race. And then I'd be like, okay, I have to get up at 4:30 tomorrow morning because I'm doing a league race for a Euro League. And then I need to leave at 7:30 so I can get to school. And it's like it was just kind of like, what are you doing? This is horrible. We don't understand it. But
This
they're
does
okay
not
now.
make any sense at all. Oh, so coming away from the days of the keyboard, do you remember your first steering wheel?
um, yes, I do. It's actually no, it's one before this one that I'm currently using. So I had a joystick and I actually raced with a joystick for a long time, with like arrow keys, as throttle and brake in NASCAR, which is super great for throttle control. And then just kind of like moving the joystick across. Um, that kind of worked for a bit. And then I got a Momo Logitech wheel for Christmas. When the year when like Need for Speed 3, I think. No, Need for Speed 2 came out. So it was like this is a long time ago. Um it's still going. I gave it to a friend and he's using it at the moment. And I got this G27 maybe when I was in mid high school and I've been using it since.
Awesome, awesome. So now you got the bug, and like you said, you progressed through various different sims, and now I know iRacing is your main racing sim of choice. You run in the V8 Scops, I call it. I don't know what you guys call it, but
Yep, no, nailed it.
okay.
Perfect.
And I've watched over this league for a long time. Number one, Australia, the V8 Supercars are very big. So there's a huge following, but it draws a lot of real name talent. So, for example, one of your teammates, Madison Down, I think he's one of the best sim racers in all of iRacing. So the league that you are running in is known to be a super strong league. You've come all the way from keyboard and joystick to running against the best of the best in one of the hardest sims out there.
Yeah, and it's I don't know, it's pretty cool racing in Scops, and especially racing with like Madison and Jared, and there are some amazing drivers in there. Um, yeah, it's weird because like I've only been racing it full time for about a year, I think. Um, and when I first started concentrating on it, it's like 120 people try and qualify. I think I qualified like 75th or something for my first race, and then I was like 67th, and the next race I was like 58th, and then TTR were like, "We're gonna grab you," and then they trained me up a bit, and then it was like, "But," and now I'm sitting sixth in the championship after a year, and it's like it's really weird. So I'm just getting used to it.
You actually, it sounds like you actually noticed a leap in your performance from when you were alone to where some people like took you under their wing and said, "Hey, here's some tricks. Here's a
Mm.
setup. Try this,"
Yeah.
and then you sort of went on an accelerated learning curve from there.
Yeah, so it was I there were lots of little things I just that take a long time to pick up um in the V8. I mean, in any car, that just like things that you don't pick up because of certain people. Just it's not like common knowledge. For example, this will sound stupid, but I didn't know that slow outlap was a thing, or that um, excuse me, or that like short runs on tires were good. So for the first couple of rounds, I was doing 10 lap runs on like midfield, and I was setting my fastest lap in like lap 8, and it was like, what are you doing? You're a
This is
second
upside
off
down.
already. Yeah, I was just doing it incorrectly. There are lots of little setup tricks and stuff. I think that the gap is closed because of things like VRS. I think everyone uses a very similar setup these days. But yeah, it was just like teaching me how to drive. There were so many bad habits that like pretty much I remember Jared and Madison, when they got me in the team, they were just like for the first month, it was like, okay, stop like driving so fast, because I was just going into corners like twice the speed, doing this everywhere. They were just like, just stop, just like slow it down and slow it down, and they kept drilling that in, and I started going faster.
Awesome, awesome. Now, when I look at your Twitch feed, and for anybody watching, I have Emily's YouTube and Twitch pages on the description of the show, so you can check that out and subscribe to her channels. But when I look at your Twitch feed, it talks that you used to be a race driver, but you had to stop. Now you're just a pretend race driver.
Yeah.
You'll make some enemies with pretend race driver, but we'll get back to that. So, what did you used to race?
I used to race like a bunch of go-karts and some open wheelers as a kid. It was a long time ago, so but I've got some skills, I guess, growing up, so I just try and bring them into sim.
And you seem to love driving. You seem to love racing. You seem to love speed.
Yeah, I mean, like it's I don't know. I think the thing with me is um sorry, I find the most fun out of driving a car on the edge of like its grip, and also racing closely with other people. And I find that Sims give that better than the real world in most cases until you really get up the ladder. So um, I don't know. I love like the feeling of getting a car right on the edge and like just pushing it lap after lap, and I don't know, turning your mind off. It's relaxing. I think it's really cool.
Now, this morning when we were just touching base a little bit, I noticed that you were playing Rocket League,
Yeah.
and I played that a couple of weeks ago. I played that a few times recently, actually. In all fairness, and I know you play Overwatch, so you still do a lot of other gaming as well. I mean, you're like gamer girl and world's fastest girl.
Yeah, it's double duty, other games in this one. Um, yeah, I mean the other games I play just I've like always played a lot of video games. So I was ranked okay in Overwatch. So I was like high plat and kind of pushing to diamond, which was it's not amazing, but I was like, I'm pretty good at it. What can I say? But I I play a lot of other stuff. I play a lot of League of Legends as well. I I have a lot of friends in Australia and we all like live away from each other. So often it's a really good way for us to keep in track. Like we'll all jump on a Discord and just play Overwatch together or something. Um, yeah, I play a lot of games. I don't play as much as at the moment because I'm streaming so much with sim racing. Um, I because of my bitrate issue, I can't really stream high speed games like Overwatch and League. So I I don't stream them, and because of that I don't get to play them as much. But
Gotcha.
maybe one day.
Now, what made you decide to start being a streamer?
Um, I don't know. I think it was like um I think it was a bunch of things. I was iRacing a lot and I was just like there's a market for this. Like um some of the people on Twitch are really fast drivers and some of them are not necessarily really fast drivers. And I think it was just a moment where I was like, I can jump on Twitch and I can explain to people how I'm driving and how to get faster in more of a like instructional way than an entertainment way. Um, and then, yeah, I just kind of like I started. It was really low quality for a long time. Um, like I didn't have a mic for I think 2 months or something. I was just chatting to them on chat. Um, yeah, it was just like practice getting my face out there on camera and stuff.
Now, you started out before any of this esport business even existed at all. And now we're to a point where we're seeing sort of the dawn of the professional sim racer, I think. Uh,
Yeah, I'd like to
um,
hope so.
and at the same time, I mean, and you do other gaming. Now, gaming in general, well, I mean, I see articles that say regular gaming is really like 50-50, but sim racing seems to be extremely male dominated. Um, do you find a lot of other women out there racing as well? I mean, it's probably you probably find each other easier than I do, so to speak, because I don't know.
Yeah,
Is that how it is? Am I
yeah.
wrong?
There's a fair few of us. I mean, like it. You're correct. Like it's I I know all the other girls doing iRacing, so it's kind of like it's a very small community. I think on my Discord is probably um a good chance you'll get to meet a bunch because it seems like most of the female races in iRacing is on my are on my Discord. Um, but it's yeah, I don't know. You don't see us, so whenever we see each other in a race, it's like I remember the first time I ran into another female driver, Sarah Dove, in a race, and it was like we were just in chat being like, whoa, whoa, what's going on? And then it was like an MX5 race, and we were like, wow, she's really good. And then we just did like 10 MX5 races because it was like, I haven't seen a girl in so long on iRacing. This is really fun. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's just lots more guys in it, I guess.
Do you find well, it probably ranges, I would imagine. I mean, as a sim racing broadcaster, I find people get out of my way because they don't want to be the guy to get in my way.
Yeah.
And then I find the people who are so determined to beat me no matter what that they'll drive themselves off the track or both of us or whatever or just drive great. But I mean, do you find that you get different kind of treatment from people because you're a female?
Um, I wouldn't know, unfortunately. I don't know anything to compare it to, but it's like I don't know. I think sometimes people I my team was scared that I was being pushed off the road too easily in the final couple of rounds of Scops last year. Because I tend to not I don't want to how do I say it? I tend to not really like defending position. Like I refuse to block until there's like 1 or 2 laps to go. So often I'll run my line, and if people want to send it on me, that's fine because I trust that I'll be able to send it. Like it's fun, we're racing each other, um, and that's not the case. Certain people will like send it on you and then just like white line it for 20 laps, and I think it was just kind of getting used to that, and I was getting pushed off the track. Like people were just sending it on me because they knew that I would get out of the way. So that's kind of not great, but apart from that, I don't know if I got treated any differently. I don't think people want to crash into me. So um, I think people know if they wreck me that they're going to be called out in front of a lot of people. So
Right.
they're a little bit more cautious.
You ever seen someone say, "I can't believe the girl beat me"?
Yeah, a lot. Like, and it's such a weird thing to say because it's like I often I'll just be in the middle of a race and I'll be like, oh my god, like or they'll get on voice chat and be like, oh my god, you just got beaten by a girl, ha ha ha, and it's like, what's so wrong about that? Like, I don't know, it's weird. I'm like, you just yeah, it's weird.
Well, I only ask these questions, and I think it's just based purely on the fact that maybe it's 97% male, 3% female, and so it's just I think it's still a little out of the ordinary. But I mean, I tell people all the time, it's like racing in general, more than a lot of sports. It's like we really are on the same playing ground. There is no advantage to male or female, and it's not going to be long before we're all getting our butts kicked by everybody. I mean, that's the beauty of racing. So
Yeah, I think that's the thing, and that's what I remember back in go-karts. It's like it doesn't matter who you are, whether you're the like whether you're a girl or whether you're a boy or whether you're like the tough kid in the playground or the small nerdy kid, whatever. As soon as you get into a car, you have as much weight to throw around as everyone else. If I hit you, it hits just as hard as a full-on linebacker. Like I think that's one of my favorite things is that you get into a car and it I don't know, everyone deserves their place on the road, so it's the great equalizer.
Star Fox asks if that's a parrot.
Yes, sorry, I don't know. Long story as to why I have stuffed animals here, but yeah, I have a bunch.
A bunch of them. Okay, there you
Yeah.
go. All right. Do you have a favorite driver in real life?
Daniel Ricciardo,
Ah,
just
there you
because
go.
love him. He's a good boy. Yeah.
And you just went to the F1 race. Was that a week ago? Just a week ago now.
Yeah, so I live sort of near Albert Park, so um my my friend's place was is in walking distance. I used to live like across the street from Albert Park, so um basically just go to their house, which is like a 10-minute drive from mine, and then we just like have a couple of beers, walk into the track, which is like a 10-minute walk, sit on a hill for like 4 days, watch the sun go down and like V8s race in front of you. It's like it's really good.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Um, so I started to talk about esport, and I think one of the challenges as esport develops is for the who's who to get those rides or the cream to rise to the top. You think of
Mm.
Formula One, and it's like the ladder system has been in play for decades. In the gaming world, especially in sim racing, there is no ladder. It's just who can get positioned right.
Yeah.
Um, I would think that with you having your own Twitch following and a streaming following and a YouTube following and being legitimately a very fast driver, that there's probably room in that world for you. Or I even dare say, I mean, you have the context in an all girl team. I mean, I see that in real gaming. There are girl teams that enter various different gaming competitions. Do you
Yes.
see any of this as like maybe your future path?
I think that would be really fun. Um, I'm not sure at the moment. I'm having a great time racing with TTR, and they're super great. And um, there are so many amazing, nice guy drivers. So I feel like there are more than enough to race with. But yeah, we're definitely teaming up on certain races. I know of 2 girls that compete in a team together. And I know um Sarah and I are going to compete in a Le Mans race together, and we're also going to have. I'm probably going to team up with some other girls for some GT racing. So it might be more like the fun kind of endurance races. But we're all kind of talking to each other all the time, so it'd be nice to get on track.
That would be cool. Um, and what about streaming? I mean, is that something that you're going to continue do like full time and make? I mean, again, I think it would be pretty easy to get a good following, being that you have more to offer than. I mean, like you said, you get on there and there's a million streamers. Some are good, some are not. Um,
Yeah.
you're legitimately fast, and on top of that, you're unique. You don't look like me.
Yeah, I would like to think I can keep streaming. I yeah, I think when I first started, it was difficult because I was like, do people just watch me because I'm a girl? Or and I think it's been really good over the last couple of months just to prove that's not why they do it. They actually just do it because they love the stream and they like the racing, or they even just like how I um banter over the top of it, maybe. Um,
Well,
yeah, I
you
would
have a
like to
great
keep
humor
streaming.
about you.
Yeah, I think it's I would like to keep streaming. I'm currently streaming full time. My hours are pretty up and down, but I'm streaming full time because I don't have work at the moment. But I'm applying for some jobs like overseas and also in Australia. So we'll see if I can keep it up full time. But yeah, we'll see.
Now we talked about. You mentioned karting. It's like we're all the same once we're in the car. There is no difference. Now, in some sports, physically there is a difference. But in
Mm.
racing, it's such a mental game. Do you think? What do you think the big difference between men and women mentally when it comes to like maybe the approach of sim racing? Do you think there's a big difference? Do you think there's something women bring to the table that men just lack and will never have for the most part, or vice versa?
I mean, honestly, I don't actually believe that there's any mental differences in terms of who we are, like physically. I don't think there's anything that would stop a female and a male from being separate. I think sometimes in the way that we're raised and socialized, um, I think there are some certain things that maybe would help. Like I know guys sometimes tend to get more defensive about their, how do I say this, like egos on like on in racing, and they're just a little bit more aggressive and they can lose their mental um quicker, which is not good for sim racing because you want to keep as calm as possible through everything. So I think we maybe have the advantage, but saying that, I've lost my mental lots of other times and like had bad times on stream. So it's I don't know. I think we're both very similar. Um, yeah.
So it's more of a upbringing than a chromosome issue.
Yes, definitely.
If you're raised on Barbies, then you're that kind of girl, and if you were, let to raise on your own, then we're all the same.
Yeah, I'd like to think so. Yeah.
Um, when you sim race, what do you think is one of your qualities that makes you a good sim racer? Like maybe your consistency, or maybe your calm demeanor, or I don't know. What do you think is your greatest attribute about sim racing?
My greatest attribute, sorry, I probably like my car control, probably is, I mean, like it's kind of a weird thing to say, but just um getting into like bad situations where I really shouldn't be able to save the car and just being able to like save it is like a really cool feeling. And there's so many saves on my stream where I've been like knocked completely sideways and I'm just gone full lock and just been like, and we got it back. It's fine. So I think it's probably my skill. I'm good at avoiding wrecks generally. And that was something when I was back racing in real life. So I dodged a lot of wrecks and I do that on iRacing as well. So I try and teach people how to do that. Um, and then yeah, I don't know, I'm a little bit all over my consistency is probably like my worst thing.
Like in a race, you'll see a huge fluctuation in lap time.
Yeah, yeah, and especially when I'm under pressure, I tend to make mistakes or things like that. So um it's sometimes with a lap to go, if someone's hassling me, I you can tell that it's an issue because this is an issue in scops. When I'm getting chased, I might make mistakes. But then in like a fun race in a Porsche or something, I'll I'll be driving and I won't make mistakes with a lap to go. So it's just kind of the pressure, and I sometimes crack under it.
Right. Do you do anything? I mean, maybe not even on the racetrack. Do you do anything beforehand to like? I'm always telling people about the mental aspects of racing. And you think of the world class skiers, and you see them in the starting gate, and they got their eyes closed, and they're doing this because they're just so in the zone. Do you ever do
Yeah.
anything to get in the zone, or you just throw caution at the wind and get in there?
Um, I tend to just like getting as relaxed as possible. Like if you don't think about it, generally it's better. I I find a lot of people psych themselves up for a race, which is often not the best thing to do, if that makes sense. Because often you want to go into turn one just with a calm head, so you can make smart decisions. But I think recently in Scops, because I've been getting eaten alive on the first lap for the couple of races last year, um, I used to play a lot of really hype music. Like I think I was playing, it was like Fatboy Slim or like Dead Mouse or something, just like right about, just like pumping up. Stop the music, get in the car, reset wheel, lights go on, and I was like, I'm ready. Let's do this. So yeah.
So do you? I have a few people have asked this, and I think maybe it's as a journalist side of me in sim racing. I've always been Mr. Clean, in terms of presentation. And when I switched to live streaming, all of a sudden people realized that I was a little more foul mouthed an individual than they ever imagined. What's your language like when you're racing? Do you get angry? Do you scream and yell at people? Do you swear at people? Are you laughing and being clean?
Um, yeah, so
Yeah.
I try to be better than what I am, I think. I'm a standard race driver in that whenever anything goes wrong, it's not my fault. It's always the other person's fault. So basically I always get into a crash and I have to remember that I'm on stream and people are gonna clip this crash, and potentially I'm racing against people who how do I say it, are pretty excited to be on a stream with maybe like 100 people watching. So they will clip it and they'll watch it. And it's like if I get involved in a crash and I just go off, like, what the hell, dude? Like, it doesn't look extremely good for me. So I think we also race the same people all the time on sim racing. So you got to be friends with everyone, even if you're in a crash. Like, and they're like, sorry, I took you out of the lead. I was lapped or something, which has happened numerous times. You kind of just got to always be like, it's okay, it's fine, we're all friends, that stuff happens.
What I don't think most people realize that about being a streamer, and that it's that you're streaming, and you know darn well that if you do something really dumb, that it's gonna end up all over. Or it could end up all over the internet because someone's gonna clip that spot and be like, "Here's where Emily took me out. Watch this. She thinks she's so or whatever." I mean, and I have that same thing in the back of my mind when I'm racing and streaming at the same time. It's like, oh, I can't do anything boneheaded.
Yeah. It's like it's an extra kind of thing going in your head. It took a long time to practice it as well. I remember when I first started streaming and I was like, I would just say stupid shit or like say stuff and it would be like, oh, this doesn't matter, it's gone. Whilst now it's like I gotta be careful with what I say. So,
You seem to have
yeah.
a lot of fun with it. That's what in watching your streams, that's what I saw. Was that, wow, she's fast, but she, more importantly, as a streamer, as an entertainer, she's just having fun.
Yeah, I mean, like racing's a fun thing, especially if I'm like doing an 8 hour stream in the middle of the day and I'm just doing fun iRacing races. It's like, it's fun. You've got to find the funny side of things. Like, if you go into a turn one and everyone goes three wide and you're like, this is ridiculous, you have to like laugh at it, because if you get taken out, it definitely feels a lot better if you're laughing at it than if you're like, this is it. This is the world championship of the 3 p.m. Porsche race. So, yeah.
I 1 second. I want to thank Maze and I want to thank El Bucho. El Bucho came here. Somebody came in and said something, and he paid off our bouncer to get rid of him. So we can all thank Bucho for that, and thank Maze, who put money in trying to get me to Sim Racing Expo. You ever think about trying to get up there and go to Sim Racing Expo?
I would love to. It's a long way away. It looks really fun there. So maybe one day if I'm in the area, I would definitely try and say hi.
Now I know you gave a wheel to a friend of yours locally, and I know that you have some sim racing friends online. Obviously, do you have other sim racing friends in town? Do you? I mean, like, one of the reasons I started doing this show was because I had no
Mm.
sim racing friends. So funny enough, and I live in Southern California. This is a big area. There are a lot of people, but I didn't,
Yeah.
and I couldn't talk even my best friend into trying it. So do you have locals? I mean, Australia again per capita is one of those racing headquarters. Do you know other sim racers locally? Have you met people? Are there meetup groups? Have you ever done anything live with others in sim racing?
Yeah, so I'm kind of I'm pretty good at like kind of keeping to myself, I think. I do I competed in like a virtual reality race late last year, which I came second in, which is great. Um, and generally at racing events, so whenever you go to like the Grand Prix or like a V8s or something, um, you'll run into a lot of sim racing people. So I met a bunch of sim racers from other teams there. So yeah, there are no real like sim racing meetups, but yeah.
Okay. Um, what's your favorite car and track combo in iRacing? I mean, I know you run the V8. Is that your favorite, or is that just because that's where you got pulled to?
Um, I don't actually know. I think I don't, to be honest, when I first started driving the V8, I didn't like it. Like, um, I'm not a huge fan of the idea of the car. Like, I was doing it because that's where all the Australian racing was. And I was just like, I want to race other people, so gotta race the V8. Um, but as I've driven it more and more and I actually kind of understand it, I feel like I have a good grasp on what the car is doing now. Um, I'm really enjoying it. So it's probably my favorite car as I've like learned to love it for all its quirks and definite imperfections. But I'm not sure. I think I like the IndyCar. I think the new IndyCar is really fun. I like to think that I'm actually better in downforce cars than I am in non-downforce cars, which is interesting coming from a V8 racer. So, um, yeah, in terms of track though, probably like Road Atlanta, I really like. Yeah.
Rhode Island, yeah, it's a fun one. So, do you find that the V8 Supercar, with its idiosyncrasies, makes you a better driver all in all? I mean, tire management, braking, throttle oversteer. That car is always a handful.
Yeah, it completely helps. And I think the harder the car, the more the V8 helps, if that makes sense. So, there are some really difficult cars in iRacing that I can just jump into, and um, it's the same technique that I've learned in the V8. Um, yeah, I'm not sure. Like, there are certain cars that just, it doesn't seem to translate very well. Like certain GT3 cars, which are like, um, when I drive the BMW, I found that if it dies, like if I'm about to die, it's gone. Like there's nothing I can do to save a BMW if it starts going on me. Which is like the opposite from the V8. The V8 is like you're constantly crashing every corner. So you're like on the edge. I'm like save, 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 save. Whilst you race a GT3 and it's like 30 minutes of just like nothing, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh god, I'm sliding, and then you're already in the fence. So it's like kind of different.
So, like, the perfect corner in a V8 requires a save for the perfect corner.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think so. I mean, like, we try to drive it without it, but it's just like it's so you can feel everything that the car's doing. Like, I think that was the thing that we found going over the top of Bathurst, because we did the 12 hour this year, and we also did a bunch of Bathurst racing in the V8. Um, we actually found the V8 much easier at Bathurst, especially over the top of the hill, because it gives you time to think about what you're doing. Like, if you're going over the time and over the top of the hill and it starts losing, you can catch it, or you see the wall and you can catch it. Whilst in the GT3, it's like there's just no time at all. It's just you're dead. I don't know.
Yeah. So, how do you like Bathurst?
Yeah, Bathurst is great. It's a crazy track, but it's good fun.
It is crazy. I'm a mess at Bathurst. So, are there any tracks that you just have fear of? You see it on the schedule and you're like, oh, anything but Silverstone.
Okay, Yama. I
Okayama?
just like hugely. I've never been quick there. I'm horrible at it. I've got no pace. So yeah, Okayama isn't good. I'm trying to think of other ones. I used to hate Laguna and Road America. that I've actually understood them more in the last 6 months. So I quite like both of them. Um, yeah, Akiyama and any track where it's like difficult to pass is not what I like.
Okay. Um, you mentioned you have a G27 there. Uh, have you modded it out? Is it stock? What's the rest of your
Um,
rig? Is that a next level stand? What kind of stand are you in?
so okay, here you go. Here's the story. I built this rig when well, my dad built it for me. When I was like mid high school. It's made out of wood. This seat is one that we got off eBay. It's just a racing chair for like $60, $80 or something. And we've like bolted it into the wooden rig. Uh, okay, so I've been racing with the G27 forever. Um, I have GTI springs in it, which are like a modular kind of spring
Yes.
thing. I'm sure you're super aware of it.
Yeah, that's
Um,
the little spring and the big spring, isn't it? Two together, I think. Isn't that?
yeah, it's like it gets harder to press the longer you go. But I got linked to some CSL elites.
Uh huh.
They're like gray fanatic load cell pedals.
Oh.
So I bought them yesterday, literally yesterday off somebody in Melbourne. Um, brought them home and then did a race last night. Broke really hard. Chair flew off the back of the Sims. So I'm not gonna do anything at the moment.
Oh.
So yeah, so it's basically a recliner. I can just chill back. So yeah.
So there's some work to do in the future.
Yes, I've got a lot of work to do today, I guess.
Oh, that's hysterical. Oh, that is very funny. But you do have that GTI mod, which helps out the brake on that pedal a ton. I always like that mod or a Nixum or anything like that.
Yep. It's yeah, just a bit of extra feel and GTI was super great. They sent some springs over to me. That was like the first time I ever got anything free in sim racing, so that was like a really big thing as well. I was like, oh my god, these springs are amazing. I have to plug them and everything. But yeah, they're really good.
um, Anybody has any questions for Emily, go ahead and start putting them in the chat, and I'll try to get to those as well. Another question I have for you, Emily, is another thing I'll admit for me, I'm very mediocre at best, or quite possibly terrible at setup. I can do some basics. I can download a setup and tweak it for myself.
Okay.
That's one of my abilities. Um, how is setup? I mean, that's not driving. Setup is a whole art in its own. How do you do a setup?
I'm horrible at it. I have like zero idea what I'm doing. Um, I I get a race set up. Like we build setups together. Um, generally leading up to Scops races, but often I'll get a race set up and dropping the fuel out of it breaks the setup. So I need to learn how to like unbreak the setup, like put everything back into proportion. And that is often too hard for me. I'm just doing it. I'm like, click, click, click. Oh God. Oh no. Oh, okay. Delete setup. Start again. Grab a new one. So I'm not very good at it. I yeah, I have to get them given to me, I guess. I haven't focused on it, and in a weird way, like a lot of people do focus on setup, um, and I can make certain tweaks and stuff, but it's like I actually like I like focusing on other things in iRacing. I think I can focus more on my driving and on my my driving and my streaming and concentrating on that. So if people are building me setups, it makes it a lot easier.
I'm in the same boat as you are. Again, it's it's not driving. I got into this because I love racing and I love driving. And honestly, when I did a little bit of go karting back in the day, and even that and karts are fairly simple, but I couldn't do anything on the setup. Other people knew what they were doing or had tech people, and not me.
Yeah,
I'll drive any set.
I think I even found it like difficult back in go-karts because I was like my I've gotten a lot better. Like I've learned how to analyze everything that I'm doing, and I feel like I'm really good at analyzing my driving for setup now. But when I first started, I would come in after a race. Dad was like, "Okay, how does the kart feel?" And I was like, "Yeah, feels pretty good." And he's like, "You came like eighth. How does the kart feel? Like, what can we do?" And I'm like, "I don't know." And he's like, "No, tell me setup. Tell me anything. Is it understeering? Is it oversteering?" And I'd just be like, "I don't know. I wasn't paying attention." So I'm better now.
Oh, I understand that. I identify with that. It's like, well, in working with people who know how to do setup, they'll say, "What's the car doing?" And I'll be like, "I don't know." And they're like, "Well, what do you mean?" I'm like, "Well, because when it was locking up the front, I'd stop locking up the front, so then it was no longer a problem.
Exactly.
Or if
I
it
just
was
drove around it.
yeah, or if it was loose, I'd use less throttle. So 3 laps later, I don't know what the problem with the setup is. And maybe as a non-setup guy, that was what I had to do, was just drive around a setup. Period. Just it's always a fixed setup for me.
Yeah, basically for me too.
Um, do you drive other sims?
Um, I used to more than I do now. I think I'm mostly an iRacing streamer because I go for the competition. Like I try to find where the close racing's at, and there is close racing on other sims, but they're often in leagues and things like that. So iRacing's got close racing all day. So I can just wake up in the morning and put it on and wheel to wheel. I have done a bunch of yeah R Factor in the past, like R Factor 1. I've never got into R Factor 2. Um, I've played a bit of Assetto Corsa just for fun. Um, I'm trying to play more F1 at the moment, 2017. I used to play a lot of like F1 2012 and stuff. So, um, yeah, playing some Sims.
Awesome. Somebody asks, do you use VR, or what are your thoughts on VR?
I think it's really cool. So I got to test VR with a company called Motum. I got invited to a competition they were running. Um, it's really good, and I feel like VR's made for sim racing. Like it's perfect for us. Um, I can't afford a VR headset, so I'm just running a single screen TV that I found on the street. Um, and I would like to get VR one day. Probably not for streaming. I think people more enjoy watching my reactions and me talking, so I don't think the VR will go very well with that.
I hear you. So, I want to ask you this question two different ways, because for me, I guess it's only, well, no, I guess, let me, so when it comes to sim racing, I think of it as gaming, so that means that I'm a dork or a gaming nerd, and so when I'm out there in public, and I'm meeting people, it's not the first thing I tell people that I'm a gamer,
Yeah.
because it comes with some baggage. So my question is, when you meet people in the world and they learn that you're like hardcore into gaming, and even more in particular, and I just say because it is just there aren't a lot of women in sim racing, so and that you actually race. What kind of reaction do you get from people, and is it different from the guys than it is from the girl when they learn that that's a big part of your life?
It's really difficult to explain to them, I find. It's like sometimes I'll just start talking and it's just so difficult because I'm like, I it's like, oh, she's a race car driver. I'm like, yeah, I do it online at the moment. And they're like, oh, like video games? I'm like, yeah, but it's like really serious stuff. It's like basically the same. So people just don't get it. I think the more I try to explain to them, um, their eyes tend to just glaze over. So unfortunate, but I feel like the older I get, the less I'm just talking about it with randoms because it's like nobody cares. Um, I'll be like, oh, I'm like a professional streamer, and they'll be like, oh, I've played like Overwatch once or something, and I was like, this isn't good. I find that when the actual difference between the guys and the girls kind of like we all kind of find it interesting. I think it's really supportive. So when I say that, they're like, wow, that's really different. That's really cool. That's really interesting. I get really a lot of positive stuff. For guys, it's positive a lot, but often they won't like, how do I say it? They don't understand how good I am at it,
Right.
which is just frustrating to me. So often I'll be like, yeah, and they'll be like, oh yeah, well I know all about it. Like I've done all these things, or I've raced this, or I know these games, and I'm like, okay. And they're like, did you know that this is a thing? And I'm like I don't know. I just get treated like shit. I've had people try to explain what oversteer is to me and stuff, and I'm just like, I don't think you realize like. I'm not. I don't like to say I'm very good, but I'm like I don't think you realize how good I am at this.
Right, right. I could show you, not tell you, right?
Yeah, it's like just watch. Yeah.
Do you ever feel that sometimes it's just a little bit too much being made of the fact that you're a girl?
Um. Yeah. I don't know. I don't really get into it. People can. do what they want. I'm just here for racing at the end of the day. I I get some shit for it. People like to troll and do whatever. Um, the end of the day, like I'm here because I really like racing. It doesn't matter who I am. Like at the end of the day, it's just whoever's on the other side of the camera. And I think everyone's the same. We all just want to go racing, and people who focus on it to the negative point or bring up stupid shit and stuff like that, it's like I don't know. I don't really let it affect me. I'm just here to have fun and get a car as sideways as possible.
There you go. Well, and when it comes to like the trolling, which I think is a good topic for sim racing and streaming in general, but kind of doesn't matter what your thing is, they're gonna go after it. So, for example, I'm bald, I'm old, and I'm short. So there's three easy go-tos for my trolls, you know. And I'd even dare say that trolls are not the most sophisticated bunch, so they're gonna go to the easy, you know. And none of those things affect me or bother me because, well, I am. But if you were to tell me I'm a terrible person, I'd be a lot more offended than if you commented on me being bald. If
Yeah.
that makes any sense or any parallel.
I think that's no, I think that's the thing. It's like they're just trying to get a reaction, and they're just pointing out stuff. They're just like saying stuff. And it's like I think this has more weight in your head than it does in mine. Like it's so you just gotta ignore them.
Yeah,
Let
you're
them go,
not
I
sitting
guess.
there on the line, on the starting line, going, "Oh gosh, I'm a girl," right?
Yeah, it's like, oh, I didn't even notice. Oh shit. It's like, oh yeah, whatever. Like I'm just gonna race. It looks really weird that you're focusing on that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So I know that back in the day it was GT Sport, then it was on to Papyrus 2003, which was, unless you got deep into modding, was mostly an oval sim, and I know you did that. Um, how much oval racing do you do now?
I I don't do as much as I'd like, I guess. I I used to do more, and I've actually found that I'm pretty good at oval racing, weirdly enough. Like I think just my skills have tended to translate really well there. Like put the parrot down. Just in terms of like feeling the car slide and stuff. Or not slide, I guess. Um, I do a bit of indie oval, which is fun, and I would like to do more oval NASCAR. Um, Sometimes it's difficult to find a race, and also like there's just so much practice that I have to do for like road racing, and everyone's always like race a Porsche race, and then it's like I don't have time to be like, okay, also I got to buy all these American tracks that I potentially don't own. I'd like to do more. I want to do more dirt oval as well, but I can't see any of the other cars. Like I keep getting talked into dirt oval races, and I always take someone out, and it's just like I don't mean to. I'm just like driving, and it it's all over the place. I don't know what's going on. So yeah.
Are you running on a single monitor?
Yes. So it's
Okay.
just a TV I found on the street. So
Literally found it on the street.
yeah, on the way home it was yeah. Oh, I also found a G27 on the street as well, like a couple of months ago. So it's sitting there as well, and he's like go through it and check it all out.
Oh my, this is
Yeah, like
great.
this sim rig's made up from wreck that stuff that people have put around.
And
Anyway.
you know, and that's funny because so many people focus on that part. So they think that to be great, you need to have a Bodner direct drive wheel and Hosingfeld pedals and triple monitors, and you know, and it's like the bottom line is time after time I find the fast people are like, give me whatever and I'm good to go.
Yeah, I think it's um there's not a huge amount of difference in terms of pace or any difference at all. It's um the one thing I've had suggested to me is load cells just for a long time, just to get load cells, especially in the V8. Like Monza last year, I found I was doing the same times with Jared and Madison for the entire lap, but I lost half a second in braking for turn one just because like I hit the brakes and it was like, whoa. I've also like the pedals are kind of going, so there's a dead zone of like 25% or something in there because it's dying on me. So I think load cells seem to be important. I haven't tried them yet though, so that'll be cool, I guess.
Or you tried them once.
Yeah, well, I tried them once and didn't go well. I think, yeah, but in terms of like sim gear, I find it just helps in terms of immersion. Like I've driven on some people's rigs, and it's all, you know, direct drive and everything, and it's like, this is amazing. This feels real. But in terms of speed, I can still get that out of a G27.
Yeah, boy, can you. So, somebody just asked your I rating. I'm going to cover both of us up here for a second because, in case anybody didn't believe me when I'm saying this is one of the world's fastest, I'm not going to call it girl.
Not very good at the moment as well, just because it should be higher, to be honest.
You have a 3980 I rating on the roadside.
Yeah, I've gone fast.
That's phenomenal. That's an incredible score. I mean, I know a lot of average sim racers, myself included, who are in the 26 to 3000 range, and there you are at 3980, which is darn good. Darn good. That's really impressive, Emily.
Oh, thanks. And I really feel like it should be higher. That sounds stupid, but I'm like, I'm getting into every race, and it's like, I'm at the front, and I'm like, I'm like racing against people with like 5K, and I'll be like matching them. So we'll see. Maybe it'll go down. It tends to like just go up. Every race I complete, it goes up, and then I get taken out of a BSS race, and I lose like 130 I rating, and I was like, great, I've got to do another 4 races.
Everybody can see it right there. There it is. The chart is going up and up and up right now. You were flatlining for a while, and then boom, you're on a roll.
Yeah, I stopped iRacing for like a couple of years. I just couldn't afford it. So yeah.
So any hopes or aspirations of getting your black stripe and running world championship level?
Yes, I'm currently going for rally cross, I guess. But I haven't driven very well in the Pro Series, so I actually like I'm one of the top 60 drivers I think in Rallycross on iRating, but it's not. I've just driven like an idiot, so I'm still technically in with a shot, but we'll have to see whether I'll make it into the Pro Series. Yeah.
Have you gone head to head with Mitchell de Jong yet?
I don't think I've actually raced Mitchell for a long time, but he's a friend of the stream. Like he hangs out on the stream a bunch, so yeah, we're pals. He's pretty good, and he gives some like good tips. Like he'll jump into a session and be like, "What's the weather?" And I don't know. It's mostly just like, if I crash it, he'll be like, or something like that. I don't know. It's cool.
Oh, so what do you think that you could do to improve? I mean, you're a great racer, but we're all looking to improve. How do you make adjustments? What do you look for in trying to get better if you're going from 4,000 to 6,000 I rating?
How do I get better? I'm not sure. I think practice. I mean, obviously everyone just says practice, but it's like, it's really important to just, I really think I could climb what I would like to do, and this is completely pipe dream because like I'm not this good, but I would like to just farm iRating, got it up to like pretty high, and then practice the F1 and just try and race that pro qualifying series and see how well I go. But I think it's just going to take it. What I do is I tend to race lots of different series, and I don't improve at the car. And like, it's great racing, and everyone on the stream loves it because I'll race like 4 different series, and I'll come like 2nd or 3rd, and it'll be close racing. But if I really focused on one car, I could probably just demolish in it, and I don't know, maybe I should do that more.
When you race, do you find, and I think you are this way from what you've said, but do you find that you're like kind of a flat line of emotion, or are your races sort of like doing like your consistency with an emotional roller coaster as well?
Yeah, they tend to go up and down. I mean, it really depends on what's going on in the race. I think it really just depends on how my mental's going. Like if I'm really in a good headspace, or I'm really relaxed about a race, I'll tend to just drive through crashes, or just like drive through, and just times will be amazing. I would pull off ridiculous catches, and I'll laugh about it, and I'll drive really well if I'm like really good mental state. And then sometimes when I'm really stressed, I tend to just not drive very well. I remember doing the 12-hour and I started the race and I was so nervous. It was 12-hour Bathurst, sorry. I was so nervous that I was like over a second off the times I should be doing, and I just dropped us all the way down the field to last just because I was like, I don't want to wall it. I got like three people driving behind me, like that are gonna drive later. So it was so slow. And I got in the car later in the race, and it was like right back up to speed, almost hitting every wall. It's yeah, it's weird.
You know, what do you think causes that? I mean, I did the exact same thing at Sebring, the 12 hours of Sebring race. I did two, well, I did more than two stints, but my first stint, I went out and I drove, and Sebring's not even dangerous compared to Bathurst, but I drove a second and a half off of my pace. Like, I'd been practicing, preparing. I get in the race, I'm a second and a half slow, and I'm like, wait, is it rubber on the track? Is it the car's beat up? I wasn't the first driver. And I finished, and I was like, I can't even tell you how frustrated I was. And then
Yeah.
I get in for the second stint, and I'm right back where I was 2 days before in practice. Like, nothing had changed. But me. Something obviously in me had changed.
Yeah.
What do you think those things are, and how do you think we sim racers can capture that moment? You know?
I think it's just turning your mind off and just kind of being being confident in your abilities. You just need to be confident because I remember when I was like ages ago, I got like talked to by like sports psychologists and stuff, and it was like um you don't have to go faster than you've ever gone in the race. You just have to go as fast as you've done in practice, which you've been doing for a long time easily. So it's actually not hard. You just need to keep doing what you're doing. And I think it's kind of that. It's like I often at the start of the race, I've got a lot of people driving behind me, like after me. So it's kind of like I'm really scared of crashing it and giving everyone a bad time and being hassles on my team's a really supportive place, but it's like I still don't want to be that person that screws the race up. So when it's like stint 4, we're 8 hours in, the car's already beaten up, people have done weird things. I'm like, all right, let's just go. I'm gonna fang it. It'll be fine.
Right, absolutely. How'd you do at Bathurst?
We got fourth place, but we were holding second with a lap to go, fighting with Inex, and Hellenic Racing, and a lapped Porsche. Crashed it at Skyline, parked it right on the S's, and we got the yellow as we were onto it, and there was literally nothing our driver could do. So we got completely taken out of it. Um, Managed to get the car home, but it was like fourth. So could have
Oh,
had second above
that,
Inox and Hellenic, but yeah, not
that's
good.
brutal. That's totally brutal.
Mm.
Um, and you talked about being in the zone, so not just in the roller coaster of emotion during like an endurance race, but you talked about those moments where you you talked about just where you're in the zone and you're missing wrecks and just I get those moments where I feel like I'm just one to one with the sim, and then I get those moments where I feel like I'm detached from the same sim, same equipment.
Yeah,
Um, is that the same thing as that roller coaster ride, but just sort of at that one moment?
I yeah, it's you just forget, and you just forget that you're in a sim. You just kind of zone into the car and you're just on it and you just watch that delta. And I love that feeling when you're driving and like all of a sudden 6 laps have gone past and you didn't even notice them happening. um I love the feeling of getting into a car deep into an endurance race. Even our enduros that we do in V8 scups, like where it's kind of just two drivers and they rotate, I would get into the car halfway through, tracks rubbered up, there's cars all over the circuit, like big gaps, and I'm just like, I've got a job to do, just calm and just drive. And it's like the best feeling. I think that's why I sim race. It's just to let it all relax. I don't know.
Now, a big part of being a great sim racer, I think, is, and this obviously it's car control, but I think it's an overall control. Like, to me, it's like one of those epitomes of control of everything. It's your brain, your arms, your hands, your feet, the car, the moment. It's so I think there's a little bit of a control freak in great race car drivers, actually.
Yes.
Do you see any parallel to real life? Or how are you in real life versus sim racing? Is there a difference, or is
So
there like a change in persona?
I think yes and no. I First things first, I drive like a grandma in real life. So on the roads, I am super slow. My game that I play is I like try to pretend that I don't even exist on the roads. So like I pass people and slot in and out of lanes, and it's like I don't even disrupt anything. I'm like the wind. So I drive really weirdly and slow on the roads. But it's yeah, there's definitely that control element, and I didn't even notice it until recently that I I am really scared of flying. I can't go on a. I do go on a plane because I love traveling, but I hate it. I will freak out. I've cried all through flights before, and it's just because I don't trust the pilot. If I was up the front, I would feel better about it. I've had bad times with people driving next to me, and they're fine drivers, but I just get close to the car in front, and I'm like freaking out. I'm like, I can't stop this car. There's nothing I can do to stop this. And then you put me in a race car and it's like it's fine. So
How are you as a passenger in someone else's car?
yeah, not good. It's like it depends, but it's just like my my partner when they were like driving, they would sometimes tailgate other drivers without noticing it, and they would be talking and I would be like hardcore just like do you do that thing where you're going too fast and you head towards and you're starting to brake and they're not braking very much, and then you've just noticed that your right foot's gone completely to the floor in like the passenger seat, and I'm like pressing the end of the passenger seat and I'm like, how what's going on here? I'm like automatically trying to brake. It's weird.
Oh, that's very, very good. So, what can we expect next from you? I mean, what's your plans for the future?
I'd like to keep streaming. I I would like to grow the stream, so I would like to keep streaming. It's quite nice where it is at the moment. Um, that would be nice. Um, I would also like to grow my YouTube channel, which I've kind of just started putting stuff on. Um, it's not super good at the moment, so I really want to kind of focus on making more YouTube content. And then I don't know, I would like to get into a big series of some kind, and I don't want to miss that esports sim racing boat that goes, if that makes sense. Like, I would love to do. I don't know what I want to do, whether it's pro series and iRacing, or if it's other series, or even things like F1 esports and stuff. Like, I'd like to do something like that.
What about real life racing?
I would love to get back to racing, but I'm broke, so I can't afford it. If somebody gets me a drive, that would be amazing. I still feel like I have a lot to offer, um, but unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. So
No, I understand. There's that line: "Those who can't teach," and I say those who can't sim race, because I think all of us would really rather be, maybe not
100%.
rather, but I mean, I think all of us aspire to be real life race car
Well,
drivers.
I think that's the thing. I mean, like and this is like nothing like really like bad to club level racing, because I think club level racing is awesome, but I've done enough racing that it's like if I went back to do club level, like because I've got invites from like my family and other people being like, drive our cars, like you're the best driver we know, just come drive it. Um, but it's like it's not what I want. Like all the other cars will be spread out. It's just kind of there for fun, and it's like I don't enjoy just going fast in a straight line. Like I actually want to race other people, and sim racing does that. So
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. So there are only two regions in the world where I question what they put in the water. I'll say, and one of them is Finland, and the other is
Yes.
Australia. And
Okay.
for some reason, these two fairly small, well, Australia's actually rather large, but small in terms of people, um, everyone in Australia is fast. And everyone in Finland is fast. And I mean, like, people's moms are fast. You know, it's not just what is it? What is it that makes racing just so in the blood of a lot of Australians?
I I'm not sure. I think there's a huge amount of interest um in a lot of racing series in Australia. I weirdly enough, being in Melbourne, I actually like I Um, there's not like, I mean, there are a lot of racing fans here, but where I live, I tend to be in like a kind of inner city kind of urban area of it. Lots of hipsters, super great. I love it. But also like no one likes race cars here. I was bullied for liking race cars in high school. Um, every year my friendship group takes part in a rally to stop the Grand Prix from destroying Albert Park. You know, it's that kind of stuff. So it's kind of like it's a little bit weird that that kind of that I'm from here, and it's weird thinking that there are so many motorsport fans in this country. But they tend to be all up in Queensland or in WA or in Sydney. There are a lot of Melbourne people as well. But yeah, I don't know why I was so fast. I think we just love driving, and yeah.
Now, what do you think? You kind of hit upon something. You're of that generation where people are being raised and bullying. The petrol vehicle has sort of gotten a bad reputation recently as this environmental kill, and I'm not trying to take it politics, but
No, that's fine.
what do you think the future of racing is? Because I think that is a really big part of one of the issues that racing in general, and maybe even sim racing, because they do go together, faces, is that cars are not cool like they used to be, and they're even getting to the point like other things that were once cool and then not, so then they get thrown away from society.
Yeah.
And I feel like the petrol or gas vehicles are on their way out. Um, do you think that's going to play a big role in racing over the next decades to come?
I I think it'll play less role in racing than I think a lot of people think. I think it's going to play more of a role in like cars on the road. And weirdly enough, I as much as I think Formula E and stuff and that's going to be great, I actually don't feel um like there will always be, okay, that's a big thing to say. I'm going to touch wood here. But like it's like there will always be enough petrol to kind of fuel a bunch of race cars to do it. And that's what I kind of see happening. All the cars on the road going electric, and then you go to racing, and they're just like V12s. Like it's still going. It's great. But yeah, Formula E might start getting bigger. I actually see sim racing growing a lot with esports, like just because it's much more accessible. Racing in real life is ridiculously hard to get into. So yeah, I think we'll have to see. It'll be cool.
I think from a spectator standpoint, it has a lot to offer because anybody can watch a sim race and be caught up in the battle. And if you're watching shooter games, unless you're literally the guy on the end of the gun, you might not really see what set up the whole moment. You see every
Yeah.
pass being set up in racing.
Mm. I think that's the thing, and I think there's so much. Like I often have debates, I guess, friendly discussions with people on stream about it, but it's like, um, they, there's so much to offer for sim racing as an esport. Um, it just needs to have its time to shine. I think one of the things they really need to focus on are the personalities and the teams and getting that message across. Because everyone who's in the community know there are so many rivalries and stories and up and coming drivers and veterans, but it's like people don't know that when they get on a stream. So I think it's going to be transferring the two together.
Yeah. All right. Actually, I'm going to kind of bring things to a close here. I want to ask you a question. So, when you started out on the keyboard, you're just getting into it. It's as innocent as that. You get
Yeah.
to the point where you're streaming and people are watching. You're running in V8 Scops. You're running with Madison down. You're a 4,000 I rating. How is the stress level? Is there a crossover between fun and work when it becomes highly competitive? I mean, or do they go hand in hand for you?
Um, in terms of stream, it was really stressful at the start. Just obviously starting streaming, it's a really intimidating thing. Um, but it got really easy, and I think now it's stressful again. I think it's slightly stressful for some reason. Um, just doing it all the time and having like enough of an audience that it's like things are happening faster than I can keep track of. It's not like it's just 30, 40 people sitting there and I can kind of keep an eye on it. It's like getting up to 130, like going up towards 200 sometimes, and things move quickly, and I like to keep on top of everything. I find that stressful. In terms of sim racing though, um, expectations, like I find often just trying to keep my expectations. Often I will think I should do really well in a race, and if I don't, um, that's when I get stressed. So you just got to keep your expectations low, expect a crash, and then just go as fast as you can.
Do you play those other games now more for a release than as a gamer?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
yeah.
I feel yeah. I just tend to play other stuff just to like mix it up. Um, like the best feeling in the world is finishing a like I'm sure you're probably aware of it, but it's like finishing a stream at like 10:30 or something, and then just like lighting a candle, and then just like turning on League of Legends, and then just like zenning out with my friends, watching some anime, just like relaxing. So yeah, it's one of my de-stress kind of things.
Just gotta clear your head sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, Emily, this has been super fun for me. I've enjoyed talking to you. Before I let you go, anybody out there who you want to thank? I mean, are there people who really have kind of helped you on your journey?
Um, just big thanks to TCR. They're extremely good team. They picked me up, and I don't know, they taught me how to drive to a high quality as a sim racer. Um, they're also really good bunch of guys and supportive, so I'm very lucky with where I am. And yeah, just a bunch of people on stream. Like I've got a bunch of really cool mods, and everyone on my Discord's amazing. Um, Sometimes like I'll have a bad stream or a bad day, and it's just every message I get on Twitter or whatever. It's just like, "We're behind you. This is great." It that makes me feel really good. So yeah,
Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you for being here, and again, it was a pleasure having you. I've talked to so many people, and I've often wondered what makes it so hard to get more girls or women into our hobby or sport, and it's great to hear your attitude and that it isn't as difficult along the journey as I thought it might be for some. So that's
yeah.
great to hear.
No, I agree. Hopefully there'll be more.
So you can check Emily Jones out on our YouTube channel. I've got the link here in the description of the show. You can check her out. She goes by Emree, Emree, on YouTube and on Twitch. And check her out. Subscribe to her channels, and you can see her race. You can see she's a lot of fun and fun to watch race as well. And I think we're gonna all be hearing a lot from you in the future, Emily. I think great things are coming your way.
Thank you. We'll see.
So, thanks again very much, and we'll talk to you soon in the future, I hope.
Thanks. Thanks so much for having me.
So there you have it, Emily Jones, WFG, the world's fastest girl, we're going to call her. We'll be proper. We'll call her the world's fastest lady. And very entertaining. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching the show. Thank you for your great questions, everybody. And hopefully this will be inspiring you to have fun and get out there and enjoy sim racing. This is the Simpit. I'm Sean Cole, and I'll see you on the track.